Okay, guys. So we will start with this chapter, Rural and Agrarian Transformation in India. Okay. So this is again connected to your economy, like what all things you have studied in planning. Mostly that is what are going to be discussed here. But if you need to see the social consequences and social impact. Okay. So here there are two topics which are given, that is community development program and cooperatives. Earlier they used to ask you questions from this, but nowadays there is not much questions are asked. They are not asking questions from this area because there are many other areas from which they can ask you questions. So still we need to prepare anyway. So community development program, this cooperatives, etc. Even from your essay point of view also, this is going to help you a lot. Okay, so you might have already covered this in your planning, 5-year planning you might have covered. Otherwise post independent India also you might have covered. So that knowledge is what actually required here. Okay, so we will move on to this too. This is what actually there in your syllabus, community development program, and then cooperative movement. Green revolution, for some of you I have already discussed in the chapter of village studies, and for others when we start with paper 2 I will cover this area in depth, okay, in detail. Green revolution, the consequences, land reforms, everything will be covered later. Okay, so here, rural and agrarian transformation in India. So we went for the 5-year plans, right, after the independence. So till independence, we know what are the problems that we are facing: inequality or underdevelopment, rural urban inequality. So all these are the main problems. So we need to mainly transform. And Indian setup is mainly agrarian, right? Agriculture is very important. So strengthening and improving agricultural setup or the rural area or the agrarian area is very much important. So rural improvement, the rural life improvement in terms of amenities, basic amenities, agriculture and everything, that was the initial focus, because Indian economy was predominantly based on agriculture setup at that point of time. So improvement of, and for that only we have gone for land reforms and everything immediately after independence. So we went for a planned development process. All of you know about this. Rural and agrarian transformation projects included improvement of standard of life in rural area. Okay, now guys, what is the difference between rural and agrarian? Is there any difference, or both are same or not? Most of the time you will see both as synonymous. But when I say rural, okay, it is like what do you mean by rural? 75 percentage is actually related to agriculture. Okay, so that is what you mean by rural. That means when I use this word rural, can I say agricultural labor and rural labor are same? No. Those who are involved in this is agricultural labor, right? So there may be others also, right? Some artisans and all, they are also understood as rural labor, but not agricultural labor. So no need to be confused between rural and agrarian. But in India, we use it synonymously. Why? Because most of this rural population is connected to agriculture. Minimum 75% is required, and in most of the cases it will be like 85, 90. Okay, like that it will go. So synonymously it is used. Even though it is used synonymously, both are totally different. This itself you will help you to understand, right? Rural labor include agricultural labor. Okay, so when I say rural labor, there can be many others also, like artisans will come. They are not related to agriculture, right? So rural is slightly bigger than agriculture, like this. But this has to be 75 percentage. Then only agriculture contribution has to be 75 percentage. Then only it will be rural. Okay, so when we talk about agrarian transformation or agrarian development, you need to improve the standard of life, improving education, health, land reforms, etc. So this was the approach. Earlier approaches which were mainly top down and were later modified. Now what do you mean by top down approach? Top down approach means it's the trickle down concept that we have discussed last day. When we discussed that concept, I've discussed along with the concept of education. When we discussed about macula minute, I've discussed with you trickle down, right? So what is trickle down? You throw something to the top, it will automatically come down. So here also we followed that: improve the GDP, the these dimension production, you improve automatically. What will happen? The main idea of trickle down approaches, you focus on growth, Okay, Professor Jagdish Bhagwati. This debate is there between Amartya Sen and Jagdish Bhagwati. Okay, on one side you have to go for top-down approach. On the other side, you will say go for bottom-up approach. So this is the top-down approach or the trickle-down approach. You focus on improving GDP or national income. So once national income improve, that means more production will be there. So over a period of time, what will happen? Unemployment situation will be reduced, so that means employment generation will be there, so people get job. So once you get job, what will happen? You will get money. Then what will happen? Inequality will come down. Then what will happen? With money, poverty will come down, hunger will come down, so automatically system will improve and development will happen. This is the idea of top down approach or trickle down approach. Okay, so this is what the initial approach, but later it was reversed and you went for bottom up approach, like focusing at the grassroots level rather than focusing more on this, and we went for this panchayati raj institutions, democratic decentralization. All these are part of bottom up approach. Okay, so initially, it was mainly top down, but later modified. Growth in output during the first 2 decades after independence was achieved mainly by increasing the area under cultivation, land reforms, scientific intervention supported by expansion in public investment and infrastructure, etc. However, that gains from these methods reached to a large extent to only small minority. Like most of these benefits, even the benefits of land reforms also was with the better off section and the privileged section. Guys, the most important problem with land reform is, you there is land reform, the peasants and all, they got the land, okay, but what happened is after some time they have realized that cultivation is going to be like a somewhat costly affair, and it is very difficult for these people to get the loan also, agriculture loan. If you need to get for the investment purpose and all, you are not getting the credit. So there is a issue with the credit. You are not getting the credit, availability of the credit or lack of credit. Money is there, but it is not available easily to the small peasants. So it will not be so what happened is automatically they shifted, right? They realized that it is impossible for them to go for this investment and all. So those who benefited even from land reforms in terms of land, they started selling their lands, and they became agriculture, non landless labors, agricultural labors. Even though you had the land, you sold the land, and or you were lured to sell the land, or you were forced to sell the land in sometimes. Okay, and especially when green revolution was there. Now what is the concept of green revolution? This is all related to everything in large scale. So if you need to make the profit out of it, what you need large scale land, irrigation, fertilizers, hyv seeds and everything. So do you think that the small scale farmers can survive? No, the small scale farmers cannot survive. So what the small scale farmers can do? They cannot survive, because even if they produce, their products will not be competitive in the market, because these guys are producing in large scale using economies of scale, and they can come up with huge quantity. So you cannot survive, so you will automatically sell the land. So who got the benefit in the beginning? These all this already better off section actually got the benefit of the initial reforms. That's what you mean by this part. Okay, so the main target areas for rural transformation in the beginning: to improve the living standard by providing food, shelter, clothing, employment, and education; involve people in planning and development through their participation in decision making and through decentralization of administration. Like here we will be discussing about an attempt which was made initially, community development program. From here only the concept of this panchayati raj institutions or democratic decentralization is actually coming. Okay, so when there were limitations or the problems or criticism which arise with respect to community development program, in terms of its effectiveness, in terms of its implementation, in terms of like bureaucratic issues, right? Excessive bureaucratization. And because of all these reasons, they Balwant Rai Mehta committee was appointed, and they have recommended for panchayati raj institutions. Okay, and then total decentralization. So here this was the first attempt, community development program, okay, for the democratic decentralization, to increase productivity in rural areas and reduce poverty. Guys, when I talk about land reforms, one of the main objective of land reform is to improve productivity. Okay, so generally when you see land reform, you will see it as a social justice part, right? this is something like you are providing land to the landless. So that is one dimension, social justice part. Other dimension is to improve productivity. Why? If you don't have land, you don't have incentive to cultivate, you don't have incentive to invest. Because if you don't own the land, and if it is not yours, you are cultivating under someone else's land, you will not be motivated to invest, because at any point of time you may be evicted by the actual landlord. So if you need to have that confidence for the investment purpose, land should be in your name. That is the most important reason this land reform was done. Okay, to increase the productivity. So you can see that is the reason why this ownership was given to the subtenants, sharecroppers, and then ceiling of land holding. All these, even later, some other land reforms also there. I'll be discussing that later. For some of you, it's already done, like cooperative farming. Okay, so this is like what is cooperative farming? Like A, B, C have three pieces of land. Okay, what they do? They pool the land together. Why they pool the land together? Now the cost of irrigation will come down, they can use the H5V seeds, they can use fertilizers, everything together. So you can use the concept of economies of scale. Guys, what do you mean by economies of scale? Economies of scale means when you produce in large scale, you will make more output and more profit. For example, if you want to make a pen, how much it costs? It may cost more than 100 or 200, but if you produce thousands of pen, it will come down to 10 rupee, right? So that is what the concept of economies of scale. Now this has nothing to do with social justice, right? This is only to increase productivity. Similarly, there was one more reform: consolidation of land holding. Like you have 1 acre of land, another and in one place, and in another place you have 2 acre of land. Okay, and in another place you have 3 acre of land. So in three places you have total 6 acres of land. Now what you can do under consolidation of land holding is you can surrender these three plots to the state, and state will give you a one consolidated compact plot of 6 acres. Now, do you think anything have to do with social justice here? No, this is purely for what? This is purely for using the concept of economies of scale and to improve productivity. Okay, so main problem with respect to our agriculture setup is productivity. That is the most important issue that we faced at that point of time. Even though you will see in terms of cultivation, we are, production and all is there, but still productivity level, if you see, we are ranked very, very low. Okay, so to solve that problem only, especially these two, consolidation of land holding, and this was optional, but some states, like two states, was made it mandatory, especially this one, consolidation. Which two states? Punjab and Haryana. So that is the reason why people have huge amount of land at same area in Punjab and Haryana. And that is the reason why green revolution was more successful in Punjab and Haryana, because green revolution needed everything in large scale. So the base is already set in this two area. So once this green revolution implemented, it was very easy for them to apply things in better way. Okay, so that's what I mean by increased productivity. And then ensure distributive justice, equalization of opportunity, equality of opportunity in the society, overcome the barriers of caste, class, gender imbalances, etc., to achieve the above goals. Quickly look into these are the various programs. This is something which you will study in detail, in depth, in economy also. Like you need to study each and every reforms, right? All these policies, at least a glance is required. But most importantly, what is currently going on is what required, but still some of them are very important. Like some sectoral approach, you can see, like green revolution, right? Sectoral, this is in agriculture sector. Then cottage industries, targeted approach, self-help group, IRDP. Okay, area development approach, voluntarist approach in terms of NGOs, participatory approach. This is what community development program. Okay, and then Panchayat Raj institutions, cooperatives. These are participatory. Social justice approach. That is what land reform. Just now I have told you one of the dimension of one of the dimension of land reform was social justice. This positive discrimination is also part of social justice, right? Even though constitution says 15 clause 1 says state shall not discriminate, but positive discrimination is constitutionally valid. It is not unconstitutional. Okay, it is not so Supreme Court declared that this is constitutional only. Okay, so 15 clause 4, under 15 clause 4, this is allowed. First Amendment Act. Okay, so these were the main reforms which were connected to food security, improve the food security, and then socio-economic equality. We were facing acute shortage of food and severe food scarcity during that time, even 1965, during the time of war also, and more than war. Actually, there was a famine at this point of time, and we suffered a lot. And even US stopped sending food packets to us. And in that context only, we went for green revolution. Okay, under Mr. Swaminathan. Socio-economic equality, minimize this we have discussed already. Check migration, provide decent standard of living. Okay. So this one, top-down approaches, which was followed initially, was not that good. It was found futile. So now rural development programs seek greater participation of the people. Means democratic decentralization. So Panchayati Raj institutions are playing the key role at the lower level. So these are the main objectives of rural development. These are very simple, guys. You can just read it. I don't think that you need my help in this. Enhancement of agricultural productivity. I've told you how you can enhance the productivity, right? See, once you get the land, how automatically the productivity will improve. Just imagine, like you are working in some firm and you are doing your own business. Where your attention will go maximum? Your business. Okay, if you're working in some other firm or in government office, you come at 9 o'clock, you go at 5 o'clock. It doesn't matter whether the work is getting completed, or you will never be motivated to do something extra. But that is not the case if you are having your own business, right? So that is exactly here the logic also. Building basic infrastructure, bring down inequality. Okay. uh, Developing rural leadership, reduce burden from cities, and check rural urban migration. Improve ecology and environment part, issue of unemployment, community participation, women empowerment, depressed class empowerment. Okay, these are the various rural development programs. Out of this, this is important for us. This is important for us. This is obviously important for you from paper 2 point of view, GS paper 2. This is anyway sociologically important. Okay. So, community development program. Community development program is all about participation of the community. Okay. So, initiated in 1950, intended to involve popular participation in rural development. It laid emphasis on building the infrastructure in rural areas with the participation of rural community. Even the idea of Mahatma Gandhi, right? Like village panchayat. So, this was the initial attempt towards that. National Extension Scheme. This is similar to this American Extension Scheme. It aimed at providing various agricultural extension services to rural areas and thus increasing production and rural incomes. Cooperative movement, like you can talk about all these Amul and various other cooperative movement. Okay, now which article, which constitutional amendment? 97th constitutional amendment made it as a fundamental right. Right, you can form the cooperatives. It is a fundamental right. Panchayati Raj institutions, 73rd and 74th Amendment at the main decentralization, right? And then Green Revolution, integrated rural development. Various schemes are there in integrated rural development. Apart from this, many small programs like National Literacy Mission, okay, Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, Drought Prone Area Program, MGNREGA, all these are various Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana. All these names have changed now and modified also. But when you discuss in general at that point of time, we are discussing all these. Okay. Now, this is important, guys. Just look into community development program. Important because it is there in the syllabus. Generally, I have not seen questions, at least in the past few years. Earlier, they used to ask 60 markers like cooperatives and community development program. One question they will ask you 60 marker because till 2010, if you see the question papers, it was like 60 markers. Okay. But now, no, maximum 20 mark is what you need to prepare. 250 word is what maximum you need to prepare. Imagine how easy it is now. 60 mark and 600 words if you need to write. It was very difficult at that point of time. Okay, so community development program, when you see, it's a multi-project program. There are many projects which are part of it, mainly focusing on the involvement of the community, participation of the community. Okay, so overall development of rural India. This program consists of agriculture, animal husbandry, irrigation, cooperation, public health, education, and everywhere it is actually penetrated. Okay, there were officials for each activity, and this was the main problem later, why it was not successful, even though you are talking about community development, but community didn't had much power. These officials had all the power. Like, what happened because of that excessive bureaucratization, that led to the failure of this. Okay, for there were officials for each and every activity at the district level to plan, execute, and evaluate. So they plan, they execute, and they will evaluate. So then the only for the namesake this was given, right? That is actually the main problem with this. The main idea was to use local leadership, human resources, and physical resources to bring about changes in agrarian economy, so that government resources can be employed in capital formation in industry. The emphasis of the program was not only on material prosperity but on non-material aspect of community life as well. Basically, what improve the life, right, standard of living of the people in the community in the rural area. So the main objectives, it covers all these: employment, agricultural production through application of scientific methods, establishment of cottage industry, promotion of self-help group, extension of the principle of cooperation, develop local leadership, community assets like roads, wells, canals, etc., healthcare, education. So overall plan. Okay. Now the failure. The reason for failure is uneven distribution of the benefits of the program. Influential people, gathered or garnered all the benefits or the credit. Excessive government hold, so mainly excessive bureaucratization, and most of the decision making power was concentrated in block development officers and district collectors. It didn't ensure people participation. So only for namesake you have given community development program with the participation of the community and with the people, but that was not actually the case, which was later recommended by Balwant Rai Mehta committee, and then Ashok Mehta committee, and LM Singhvi committee, and then that led to Panchayati Raj institutions later, 73rd and 74th amendment. And that was given the constitutional status. Once you given the constitutional status, then they can do things their own. No, you don't want to depend on anyone else, because the power is given by the constitution. Okay. Absence of clearly defined priorities of the program. uh, Divided rural society based on caste based land relations and hierarchical social organization. All these, okay, how society is divided on the basis of caste: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So deep division was there, deep cleavages was there. People are not ready to cooperate. Even guys, when I've discussed about this cooperative farming, okay, what or consolidation of land holding or cooperative farming, like there are two people, A and B. If you can, or C, if you can pool this land, you all know very well that you can make profit out of it. But the problem here is, this guy may be a Dalit. So now this Brahmin is not willing, and this Kshatriya also not willing to share with the Dalit. So this caste sentiment is actually affecting very, very badly. Okay. Now this Dalit might have got land after land reform. So, and that land might have gone from this guy. So they are having an antagonist relation also now. Okay. So these were actually the main problem there. Okay, guys, so these are general problems, you can just look into this. But what is a positive impact that actually led to the Panchayati Raj institutions or the local self governance? Okay, and led to strengthening of grassroots democracy. Now cooperatives means what? You can form now, as per the this fundamental right, you can form the cooperatives on any, like a group of members. They can form cooperative society or cooperatives of any, right? It can be this Amul also, or it can be anything with respect to agriculture, with respect to any production. So it's a voluntary and open membership without any restriction or discrimination on the basis of anything. Democratic member control with equal voting rights, autonomy and independence. Cooperative is a voluntary group of people on equal basis with similar interest and activity who leverage their resources for collective as well as individual gains. So this is a key word here. So you have something, right? In this case itself, you two people A, B have the land. Now, you if you use this land only, then the production will be very less. Okay, the cost will be so high. So if you can use this also, that's what you mean by leveraging, right? So then you can make maximum advantage. How you can make maximum advantage? Whatever you get from here, you will get. Whatever you will get from here, he will also get. You can share that. But advantage is because the cost can be reduced, right? So once the cost is reduced, the profit will be high. So that is how you are using that idea of leverage. In Indian rural context, role of cooperatives was envisioned to extricate a rural peasant from the grip of moneylenders, provide technical know-how, promote economies of scale, and uplift the standard of living. Okay, intermediaries in production chain are cut, and its benefit went directly to the farmers, poor, and the rural community. So these are actually the advantage, and these are very common. I hope there is no need of any explanation here. One of the main problem that the rural population was facing is with respect to the money lender. Now their issue will come down to an extent, or even though this is there, at least in the personal sphere, in the personal dimension, because guys, even in villages, you consider each and every festival as very important. Okay, that is a culture, right? Even for example, this marriage or anything which is coming, people are spending too much in the village because that's part of their ritual and their culture. So even if you don't have money, still you are dependent on the money lender. And in the rural area, the small peasants, they are mostly dependent on money lenders. They, even though banks are there, all these very less interest rate lending, differential rate of interest, and everything is there, but still the poor peasant is not able to get the loan from the bank. Okay, because of this KYC issues, even though government is relaxing all these KYC issues for the farmers, for the marginal farmers, but still bank will not give. There are only that people will understand, right? When you go to the bank, they will keep on asking too much of things, and it is very difficult for them to approach the bank. Rather, they will divert all the funds to the large scale farmers. So the benefits that the government want to give it to the small peasants are actually given to this by the banks. Now for peasants also, if you think from their side, which one is easy for them? Approach the bank or approach the money lender? You approach the money lender on spot, immediately you get the money what is required. Okay, but bank, you need too much of things, and finally you will not get money also. And once you approach the bank, what is the interest? Let's say 10% is the interest. When you approach the money lender, this guy also will tell you 10% is the interest. Now this poor person who have no knowledge in all these interest calculation or anything, he think that here also this is same, this is same. But this money lenders are charging, for example, 1 lakh is taken, 10% per month is what they're charging. That means what? How much you are paying? 10,000. But when you say 10% interest, it is actually in the banking terms, or in actual reality, what is this 10%? This 10% is per year. So in the bank, you are paying this 10%, 10,000 per year. So effectively divided by 12 is what you are paying every month in the bank, right? Close to 800, 850 rupees what you will pay in the bank. You are paying 10,000 here. See that difference. Okay, so ultimately now in 1 year, how much you need to pay? When you are paying this 10,000 in the bank, 1 year you are paying 12, 1 lakh, 1.2 lakh to the money lender. How much you take? You took 1 lakh. You are paying 1.2 as interest itself, so almost double. Okay, now banks are giving at this interest to the large scale farmers. The poor farmers, the peasants are suffering, and ultimately that lead to the suicide and all these issues. Okay, so there was a committee. I think that committee name was Deepak Mohanty committee. I think you can clarify that. I'm not sure exactly. Not important for you from sociology side, but from economic side, that committee recommended that adequate credit is more, timely and adequate credit is more important, not the subsidized credit. You don't want to give it for 10% to the farmer. Okay, what you need to do is ensure that these people are getting credit from the banks. These people are getting credit from the institutional sources, and ignore these, eliminate this non-institutional sources. Even if you are giving it at 15%, it's okay. Why? because 15% is per year. Here, if you see 10%, this is almost like 120%, right? So the committee recommendation is like, don't give subsidy, because even if you give subsidy, who's getting the benefit? Large scale farmer. So make sure that the poor peasants will take loan from the institutional sources, and make sure that they get adequate and timely credit than subsidized credit. Okay, so this is a most important problem from the time of English, from the 1791 onwards, when they have introduced this new land revenue settlement, that is zamindari settlement onwards. This group is playing big role. Okay. These things you can read, Gandhi's idea, Nehru, socialist views, and everything is there in cooperatives. So the first cooperative credit society was registered in 1905 in Bombay. Guys, these are not important for you anyway in sociology. With the enactment of Cooperative Societies Act 1919, cooperatives become the state subject. J.C. Kumarappa led Agrarian Committee in 1940, recommended cooperative farming. Okay, cooperative farming, I have told you what is that cooperative farming and what are the issues with respect to cooperative farming in India. Mainly, when I say farming, this is obviously in rural area. So when it comes to rural area, which institution is playing the majority or dominant role? Caste, this institution, right? So when caste is there, then do you think cooperative farming will work? No. Land is anyway scattered and in the names of different people. So this Dalit, nobody want to be with the Dalits. Okay. So after independence, first 5-year plan called farmers to join cooperative movement. But guys, this, even though this cooperative farming that I've discussed as part of land reform, it has a land reform, but it is not compulsory. It was voluntary only. Okay. Unlike the other ones, like land sealing was compulsory, but land consolidation, that was voluntary. This one also voluntary, but land consolidation, two states made it mandatory, compulsory, Punjab and Haryana. Similarly, cooperative farming was also is compulsory in which country? China. Okay. Okay. Cooperative institutions were set up in the villages as supportive institutions of community development program and Panchayati Raj. The aim of the cooperative institutions, these, to provide essential agricultural inputs and credit to farmers. So this is going to help the farmers, ensure adequate return to the farmers to for their produce, because they now, guys, I've told you the problem with money lenders. Similarly, the most important problem from then onwards, the farmers are facing is the middleman, right? So they are taking, neither the farmers nor the actual, the consumers are getting the benefit. Farmers are producing, they are getting very less, they are still in poverty. Once you're a farmer, you're always in poverty. That's a famous saying, right? And the consumer, we also suffer, we don't get anything at cheaper price. See, if farmers are poor, then we should get the benefit, right? It should be a zero sum game, no? If farmers are selling it at low price, that's why they are poor, we should get benefit because we should get at a cheaper price. But we are not getting that, neither the farmers are also getting that. So who's getting the advantage? Middlemen, like the money lender. So that can be solved here when the cooperatives are there. Okay, that is what one of the other idea. You can pool the resources, you can pool the products, and you can sell it together. To ensure supply of essential commodities to villagers at reasonable rates, to promote harmonious relations and a sense of participation among the rural people. These are general in nature, right? You can read that. Credit societies, service cooperatives, producers cooperatives, and labor cooperatives came into existence as the cooperative movement grew. The dairy cooperatives especially became a big movement. And what is that? White revolution. Guys, anyone know what is pink revolution? Just refer, this was asked in 2014 mains in GS paper. Okay, that time actually rarely even 5% of the people know about that answer. Cooperatives became particularly successful in states of Maharashtra, like sugarcane cooperative, milk cooperative in Gujarat, etc. Meat, shrimp actually. Okay. Pierre Dubasi considered cooperative as not an institution but as a movement. Why? because needs of peasant class keeps on changing, and so movement also evolves. Like cooperative is not just an institution, it's a movement, cooperative movement, because the peasant issues keep on changing, their needs are changing, so based on that it is getting accommodative and adaptive. Cooperative movement started in India, it was for credit needs initially, but now today cooperatives are there in almost every field, and they are even playing major role even in the political aspect as well. Okay, Air Desai observed that effort towards establishment of cooperatives can help to overcome the issue of agrarian social order caused by the colonial rule. Cooperative as an institution can complement land reforms in changing picture of agrarian social structure. So already land reforms have done. Now some of the landless have actually got the land. Now how can they use that land properly? If this cooperatives are there, if you can implement this cooperative farming, then they can also get the benefit out of it. Otherwise they will have to stay small, and I told you already, once you start staying small, then it is going to be very difficult for you to survive. Guys, you cannot stay small. Even even if you are doing a business, you should never stay small, right? The As long as you stay small, it is a cost that you're actually paying, even though you have some limited products, but you try to be at the top. Then cooperative politics, just before I've discussed. Daniel Thorner, this guy is important, guys. Okay, indicated that cooperatives are hijacked by the richer sections and have become agencies serving their interest. Now tell me, which perspective is this? What do you think? He is a functional thinker or a Marxist thinker? Seeing this itself, we can understand, right? Is a Marxist perspective. So serving the interest of few people rather than the whole. Further, they function on the basis of caste economics of the village. In his study, he found that many cooperatives were dominated by single families in villages of Gujarat. Okay, there were other problems associated, like we have discussed over bureaucratization, lack of professional management, non-repayment of credit, poor participation, or elite dominance, technology. All these are again problems. Just go through this. Achievements, these are mainly factual and not much required for your side from sociology side. But again, sugar cooperatives, milk cooperatives, you can write their achievement. Fertilizer distribution, fertilizer cooperatives, everything, just read that. Okay, now here one more topic which is there is poverty alleviation schemes. So what I will do with respect to this is, here what is there in this essential sociology is what I've taken, but I will upload a detailed video on this topic and I will send it to you across today itself, with respect to this poverty alleviation schemes which has been done from 1950s to till now. Okay, all the schemes have covered over there, and it is impossible for me to take at this juncture because that video itself is around 1.5 hour 2 hour. Just sit for that. And it is not, guys, this is actually not a sociology topic. Okay, they may ask you like, now what questions you can expect from here. Poverty alleviation scheme, this topic is there in your syllabus, so they will ask you simply MGNREGA, and we all know what is MGNREGA. But what you need to write in your answer, that is a social dimension. How is it helping in the empowerment of women? How it is reducing poverty? How it is increasing consumerism? Okay, how it is reducing the rural-urban inequality, rural-urban divide? Okay, and all these things is what you need to write in your answer. There is no point in writing 100 days of employment and labor force participation rate and all those things, guarantee and everything. No, not expected. That is from economic side. So what I'll do here is I will discuss all the poverty alleviation scheme which I've done mainly for the economic session. So 1.5 hour videos there. So cover all this because that is going to give you advantage in your economic preparation as well. And you guys need to put it in sociological perspective, bring the social angles, like even MGNREGA. You talk about the caste dimension. Okay, everything, how the panchayat is functioning, what are the malpractices which are there, everything has to be there. How is it reducing inequality, how it is ensuring food security, how the society is getting more consumerist in nature, how now the rural areas are consuming more protein food, right? See, what was the reason? There was a famous study which was conducted by World Bank. one of the most important reason for food inflation in India. You know what was their conclusion? MGNREGA. Why? Because once you start earning, once you start getting money, then you started spending things for the good food, right? So you started consuming egg and fish and this milk. So mainly the food inflation, especially there was a demand for protein foods, even in the rural areas. Okay, so these are the main approaches. Trickle down approach, I've told you what is that approach. Focused scheme for like food for work program, there are many focused schemes are there. Okay, then integrated all round approach, all these I'll give you a video that you need to cover. Maybe today itself I'll send it to you across all the groups. Okay, so that's about this chapter. You need to have a good idea about what community development program, cooperatives, green revolution. Okay, guys, in 2014 mains, when I'm writing, there was a question which is related to policy paralysis. Okay, and this question was expected that year because there are a lot of issues are going on with respect to the Congress government. But if you have a very good sociological knowledge, or this knowledge if you have, you know, policy paralysis, you can start with community development program, you can explain the cooperatives, you can explain the land reform, you can explain which one I've discussed now, green revolution. All these are so good programs in theory, but why we were not able to do it good? Because of policy paralysis. It is not the problem with the policy, it is a problem with the implementation, the paralysis, the excessive bureaucratization, over regulation, over control, that. And then come to the present scenario and answer it. Okay, similarly that year there was a question related to power, and that directly your sociology topic, and that is the reason why I got around 146 plus mark in that year. Similarly, if you see today's essay paper, you will see patriarchy related question for sure, you will be writing and you will be getting very good mark. Once you, those who completed that women movement and the women issues and family and everything, you should have complete idea about that, what is patriarchy, what different thinkers are saying and everything, right? That is how actually sociology is going to help. Okay, so any doubts here? These PDFs yesterday, the three that I've taken directly from Essential Sociology, and I've told you already. You should these are essential, guys. Actually, why Essential Sociology is required? It is not for you to study sociology. You cannot learn sociology from that. Never think of that. It is just to keep as a reference book in case any topic is missed out from our discussion. It will not be possible for a teacher to cover each and everything, like fertility rate, the migration, these kinds of topic will anyway be missed out. So just refer there, like bonded labor, I'll try to cover that tomorrow, bonded labor, child labor, etc. But still, this kind of minor topics, in case if you need to look into, go for that. And some thinkers and some criticism, never study theories or anything from there. I tell you, I repeat this again and again, you just need the class notes, the class. And then if you need to read something, Vajiram, class notes, not the written printed one. If you follow this is enough, and there is no need to read Ritzer or Abraham Morgan or any textbook. That's not required, because this guy have done very well. Okay, and we also have the complete understanding. Then there is no point in reading too much of textbooks. And for sociology, what is required? Read one book 5 times, have a clear idea, and be in a position to reproduce in the better way possible. Okay, and it's all about your own thinking, imagination, and your approach. That's what matters. Yeah, any doubts you can ask. Also, you can turn on your mic now. These are miscellaneous topics I generally don't take, but since some of you have asked me, that is the reason why I thought of covering these topics. Generally, these are not sociological actually. Okay, read that, Mohit, National Extension Service. Just read that. Trickle down approach, you didn't understood, Janni. What do you mean to say? You didn't understood the approach, or can you turn on the mic and say?
Yesterday I was not attend the class, sir, so I didn't understand.
Trickle down approach means you throw something to top, it will come automatically. So when we discuss about education, macula minute, it is trickle down approach. Because like you, what is the plan? The idea is you educate few, they will teach rest of the others. Similarly, in the development, when I say trickle down approach, means you focus on growth. Okay, once growth is there, obviously the capitalist and the industrialist and everybody will get the benefit. Like Ambani will get benefit, but automatically what will happen? It will create employment opportunity. When it create employment opportunity, the problem of unemployment will come down. So you will get wages, so you will get salaries, so people have money. People have money mean purchasing power will increase. Then purchasing power will increase, poverty will come down, hunger will come down, inequality will come down. Okay, all these are going to happen. For that, what you need to do? Focus on growth. Okay, this approach is what? Trickle down approach, top down approach. There is a debate between guys. When you go for interview, they will ask you Professor Amartya Kumar Sen and Jagdish Bhagwati. So Amartya Kumar Sen is of the opinion that you focus on development first, automatically growth will come. But Jagdish Bhagwati says growth you focus, automatically development will come. When I say development, I mean these words: poverty, inequality, unemployment, all these dimensions. Okay, so it is crystal clear. This is more logical, because here you keep on spending on development and it may not happen. Trickle down approach is not the reason for failure. Trickle down approach is actually good. If you look into all the capitalist countries, all the developed countries, they all follow trickle down approach. But in India, there are a lot of limitations in following that. Secondly, if you need trickle down to happen to all these population, it will take a long time. And we didn't wait for that much time, right? So the criticism started immediately. If the trickle down have to happen, you have to wait. Initially it will benefit the other sections only, higher sections only, because they will accumulate profit and everything. But ultimately it will be percolated. Again, if you see, there is something known as Kuznets hypothesis. I don't remember exactly at this point of time. Maybe somebody who attended the economics class can clarify that. See, this developments will happen when the growth is there. Some sections will get the advantage, so the government tax and everything will increase and improve. So the government also started spending on education, health, and all these benefits. So this advantages will be going to the poor, and the standard of living will increase. Okay, so the situation will automatically increase. So if this need to happen, it takes a long period of time. Trickle down is not that easy. It will not come down immediately. You throw something to top, it's not a stone to throw and come down immediately, right? It will take over a period of time. That is the reason. And if you have the patience to wait, trickle down is the best approach.